Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the presentation of my research, the GM2 case study, a data analysis project of the Data Glacier internship. In search of improving my speaking skills, I make this humble presentation. Enjoy it. Data Glacier is an organization that trains professionals in data science skills. Then, the case consists of the following. The company, XGC, is a private firm interested in starting its operation in the North American market. So, the objective of the investigation is to provide an actionable insight to help the enterprise in identifying the right company for making investment and know what amount it will be convenient for me to start the project to have the maximum net present value and how his IRR. On the other hand, net present value (NPV) is the difference between the present value of cash inflow and the present value of cash outflows over a period of time. Net present value is used in capital budgeting and investment planning to analyze the profitability of a projected investment or project. Internal rate of return (IRR) is an indicator of expected future returns of an investment, and that implies a certain opportunity cost to reinvest. As an additional data of the theory, it's the value that equates the net present value to zero. About the research, we have 29 features were used for the analysis. The period analysis was from January 1st of 2016 to December 31 of 2018. The number of observation was 355,032. This final CAF data is documented and updated in my GitHub profile. So if you want to read and understand it, it's well documented in English to make it more universal. And if you like, send me your commits to evaluate how to improve my narrative with terms or passive voice. Please propose. My exhibition will develop as follows. First, we'll talk about the business problem, then the hypothesis, then the assumptions, then the context EDA, exploratory data analysis, then the estimation for 2019, the results, and finally my recommendation and my profile summary. So, the problem is the following. What month should you start investing, and also in which cities should you invest in the first year to maximize value per net, and how is IRR? The hypothesis or preliminary proposal is start in January in the city of New York. For this, we are assuming that to start the project it takes 3 months to settle in the city. So if they start in January, they would only have income from their operation in April. And now, assumptions. If there is not explicit statistical reference, it will be understood that it refers to the average of the indicator. The following indicators were defined for the present analysis. Margin, gross profitability per month, price target, subtracting cost of trip, COC, opportunity cost, margin dividing price target, COOC, unit cost per KM traveled dividing cost of trip. The following macroeconomic variables were added for this analysis: the GDP, unemployment rate, national income, and internet access. And to estimate the margin, a process of elimination of outlier was carried out. And now we talk about the context, the EDA. In a preliminary way, we consider the following. On average, the margin was 137, the COG was 27%, and the cook was $12 per km. On the other hand, the average of income per citizen was $15,048. This data will be used later for the training model that will give us the 2018 estimates. Then, the profit margin per trip is on average greater than 0, less than 250. There have been occasions where negative margin have been generated. Rarely has a margin greater than 500 been obtained. The cook is mostly between 20 and 14%. The cook is mostly between 12 and $14 per trip, with more possibilities that is $12 per trip. On the other hand, the one with the highest profit margin is New York with $279 per trip, and the one with the lowest margin was Nashville with $49 per trip. The one with the highest cook is New York with 46%, and the one with the lowest margin was Nashville with 12%. And the one with the highest cook is Washington, D.C. with $13 per km. Therefore, as a preliminary assumption, we can infer that New York is the city with the most economic potential to start the business, and the cost of gasoline is highly homogeneous regardless of the American city. Evaluation the target audience. The cook of the public with the range of 20 to 14 years is 32 times higher than that of the public with a range of 14 to 16 years. The cook of the male audience is 33% higher than the female audience. This data will be useful to make an effective commercial strategy recommendation and define the buyer person. With this, we can define the economic potential of the user in the range of 20 to 14 is greater than the other of the rest, and the male users generate more operation. A funny inference that we could conclude is that probably users with a girlfriend request taxis not only for themselves, but also for their partners out of chivalry. So it will be interesting to have the data and evaluate which country has the most chivalrous men. In Peru, we are lords. They teach us very good manners, so I confirm that we will have the highest value in the chivalry indicator. But, well, let's continue. Pink Cave made a profit margin of $62 per trip. Yellowcalf made a profit margin of $160 per trip. Pincave earned a cook of 17% per trip. Yellowcalf earned a cook of 30% per trip. Pincave earned a cook of $10 per trip. Yellowcalf earned cook of $30 per kiem. With this, we conclude that Yellowcalf must offer a service with a higher added value. However, both companies are highly efficient in managing costs. Carrying out a seasonal analysis, we observe the following. Profit margin per trip in 2016 was $145 per trip. Profit margin per trip in 2017 was $144 per trip, and profit margin per trip in 2018 was $122 per trip. February is the month that generates the most profitability margin with $176 per trip. May is the second with $175 per trip. August is the month that generates the least profit margin with $103 per trip, and July is the second with $114 per trip. Therefore, we observe that the profit margin was had a negative growth profitability due to the entry of new competitors in the market. On the other hand, the winter season in America can a priori be perceived as the most profitability. We mean January to April. Also, we observe that on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, a higher profit margin is obtained. So, the mean of operation were in weekend an exception on Friday. Regarding the population and number of users, it's observed that the cities with the highest population is New York. It's observed that the cities with the highest users is New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and Boston. With this, we can infer a priori that the economic potential of New York with respect to other cities is greater. We also conclude that population data such as user is not homogeneous. It varies a lot in population numbers. In engagement, it's observed that the cities with the highest engagement are Boston, with an engagement of 32%, and Washington DC with an engagement of 30%. This data could be as to conclude that Boston is the city with the most economic potential, but we have to work carefully on this data because, as we mentioned before, the number of citizens has a higher variation according to the city they belong to. And now, the best part, the estimation. For the estimation, the following 11 variables were selected. Income, cook, the day of the week, month, city, engagement, GDP, national income, unemployment, and an indicator of access of internet. The city ID for everyone is 10, as it represents New York. The margins of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are used the most profitable. The average income used was $15,048 per person. The cook and cook used were 27% and $12 per PM. For the macro variables, the values obtained during 2019 were used, and from the open bank of data. To estimate the margin, an analysis of outlier was made to later carry out a cleaning process and have a more homogeneous data. The endogenous feature is the margin. For the estimation, the random forest model was chosen as it had a greater goodness of fit. This happens because the random forest technique better recognizes the effects of the categorical variables, as the estimation is being carried out for the city of New York. November get the highest margin and July the lowest. We conclude that the season with the lowest yield is from May to August. So, January get the highest net present value with $165 per trip and a IRR of 37%. And then the hypothesis is true. It's advisable to start in January in New York. So the recommendations are the following. Start a business in the month of January in New York. The population of 8 millions and 300,000 active users having an engagement of 3% with the potential to grow. Having a cook was 27% and the cook was $12 generates a net present value of $165 per trip and IRR of 37%. Prepare the buyer person with a future of age of 20 to 14 years. It's 32 times higher than the public with a range of 14 to 16 years. Prepare a sales promotion plan by means of notification in the application on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Also, propose an innovation project to improve the benefits of the female public. The cook of the male audience is 33% higher than the female audience, so we can work with this to improve the benefits of the female public. And to conclude, my full name is Giancarlo Caldres Vasquez. I am Bachelor of Economic and International Business, have 3 years experience as Assistant Manager of Meditronic and Risk Project Manager at the INSA Global in Lima, Peru. And I like to read documents and stories about startups, data science, economics, fashion trends, sports, a bit of celebrity. So if you would like me to talk about a specific technical topic, let me know. This is it for this time. Thank you.